Well, what a mix. Politics, being unable to pay your tax bill, insolvency. This one's got it all. Hi everyone, and welcome to the first of the HeelanHub Weekly. I just thought it'd be cool to get back to trying to get 2 videos a week going. On a Thursday, we'll probably have one of these where I just talk to you about what we're seeing, what we're seeing in the small business world, and just give some random insights. Hopefully, if you're a returning subscriber, this just gives you a bit of extra, I suppose, to kind of fluff out and talk around the subjects we talk about on this channel, tax, small business, finances, and the wider things that stress small business owners, and maybe some success stories. I think we'll mix in a lot of stuff. And then the Sunday video we usually do, albeit we had a little bit of a gap over the Christmas period because we're so busy as a business, it will be that kind of more educational, deeper dive into a certain topic. This one can be maybe a little bit rambly, but I'm hoping that you'll find some value from it. So if you have, please do drop it below in the comments. So then, what have I seen and what have my team seen as we've been going and talking to small clients this week, small business clients this week? I think there's a couple of things, really, 3 main areas. The first one that we're seeing is that the small business world is getting a bit tighter. We're seeing a rise of people struggling to get cash from people. Now, this is a topic I think I've spoken about both on our podcast, the HeelanHub podcast, and if you've seen me talking in other things or writing in other publications, things like that, I will have been talking about this issue. The data from Xero, the software provider, has shown the fact that we have this late payment problem that's been occurring, and the statistics have been showing it's getting worse. We are really seeing it now at small business level. I spoke to a couple of clients this week personally where I'm like, okay, you've got a problem. This needs paying to the tax office. Where's your money? The money is with their clients and their customers, and they just haven't been chasing it, or they're just slow payers, but it's getting worse, and we're seeing that trend. So we've done other videos on how to get paid quicker, and I think for a lot of small businesses, you can really impact how quickly you can get paid. So go watch those videos and think about, yeah, look, if I am struggling for cash flow and it is with my clients, what can I do about it? But that is a trend, so be really careful about that one. And then as a result, what we're then seeing is I've seen a couple of people tip into insolvency recently, and I'm talking to insolvency practitioners. That does seem that it's been on the rise. So I think a lot of the things and problems that were perhaps happening towards the end of COVID, when people had taken these massive loans, are starting to play out. This late payment issue, and we're just seeing a bit of a ripple effect, because what tends to happen is you get a big contractor, say in the construction industry, go down, and then it's the people down the chain that struggle. And I've seen this a lot. I've seen it with quite a few businesses over the last 6 months. It's really starting to sort of come to roost now. So again, when we're talking about your own kind of money that you're owed, don't let those invoices go outstanding that long, because you may never get the money if they do go into administration. So I think if you've ever been on that side of things, you'll know it's not the greatest. You don't get preference. There's a kind of a list and an order, and 9 times out of 10 the small business owner that's in there with their invoice gets next to nothing, if anything, by the time everybody else has had their money. So bear in mind, don't let your debtors, your amount of invoices and money that's owed to you, get out of control and get large, particularly with one supplier. And that's actually what's killed it for a couple of our clients we've seen over the last couple of months, is they've had one big debt or one big amount of money due from one place, and that's been the end of them when it doesn't come in. Don't get me wrong, it is quite often that they will restart in a different vein and it'll all be cool and positive again. Sometimes actually it can actually be quite a relief for an owner to go through that process, get rid of the business, go again with a bit more of a fresh start, but it can also create a lot of stress, particularly if that owner's got a lot of business relationships with other people, and that means that they're going to end up having to not be able to pay these people. It can get difficult, and that can make it difficult to kind of restart. But yeah, that sounds bad starting 2024 on doom and gloom, but that is unfortunately something we've seen. Now, if you are in the situation where tax is the problem, because we've just gone through January, you might have got tax bills you can't pay, it's that time of year. If that is the case, the revenue are oddly quite easy to do a deal with. Now, as long as you're being reasonable, normally you want to come to the table with some offer. I can pay you this today, and then can we do a deal on direct debit over X period? Actually, the last few years particularly, they've been really quite welcoming towards that. What they really don't like is when you don't engage. If you just bury your head in the sand, they will get harder and harder on debt collection. I've even seen some particular powers I've never seen invoked on somebody in the recent months, because there was a difficulty engaging. In actual fact, with this particular one, it wasn't even their fault. They couldn't get hold of the revenue. The revenue are very difficult to get through to, but there is a business payment support line that you can phone. I think it's just been inundated, particularly around January, and it's been very difficult to get through. I mean, the revenue service levels have really plummeted over the last few months, but over all the years I've been involved with the revenue, this is by far the worst I've seen it. I actually used to think it was quite a good service, probably between around I think 2010 to 2015, it was really quite easy to get through and it always felt quite nice to deal with. These days, it's a groan, and we've got clients that are just still trying to get things done. And we've had some issue resolved that's been going on for 2 years today, and the revenue officer still can't tell us why it was a problem, but they've finally fixed it. So, and it's bad from our point of view as accountants when we're trying to say it is the revenue. I think sometimes people don't believe us how bad it can be, but honestly, there can be some issues there. So, but business payment support lines, yes, they can be difficult to get through, but I would hope that it would start to sort of tail off a bit now January's gone. So if you are struggling, do engage with them, get those payment plans in, and actually you'll probably find it's not too bad. You can get yourself out of a hole and, you know, pay them off slowly. It isn't like this evil government that's going to come and get you if you don't pay your bill on day one. Yes, there may be interest, there may be charges, but these time to pay arrangements, as they're known, can really help. And it's a weird one with tax returns. So interesting stat to me, as we're recording this video now, 1.1 million people have actually missed the tax return deadline. So they're getting an instant £100 fine. And those, if that is you, don't wait, because that fine goes up to like 1,600 quid really, really easy. So just get it done. And you have got the ability, there's a box on there that lets you tick provisional. So if you just don't know and you're going to have a stab at it, at least get it in and have a stab at it. Obviously, you want to make sure it's as accurate as possible because there are penalties for inaccurate returns, but there's a window to amend it. So you can send one in. So just don't, again, engage, don't do nothing, do something with it. Obviously, if you need help, seek out a professional. But outside of that, yeah, you do have those options. So yeah, 1.1 million, I thought that was interesting. And there is a record number of people that had to fill tax returns in as well. And I think in the country, because of these frozen tax thresholds, there's a lot more people coming into having to do a tax return. So we're seeing that quite a rapid number of people that end up in there. So it's not a surprise to see the record number of people not doing it as well. It's something like 10% more people this year didn't file. So it's quite a large amount of people. Also, 778,000 people did it on the last day, with 32,000 doing it in the final hours of the day. Makes me interested to know how many accountants were part of that 32,000 trying to file it for their clients, because it doesn't matter how up to date you are, there are always clients that don't prioritize it and need it done at the last minute. I know certainly we took on some new cases in the final days to try and get that across the line for them as well. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me that accountants add to that for various different reasons and trying to help clients. But yeah, 32,000 in the last few hours, 778,000 in the last day. Amazing, eh? And then finally, the other thing that has been interesting this week is I've seen a lot more clients interested in the political situation. So we've got the budget in March, which is going to be a big event. There's a lot of things bouncing around about, would we see tax changes? Maybe not this headline big tax cut that basically didn't affect any of the small businesses, but something that actually would make a difference, such as the higher rate tax threshold moving from about 50,000 upwards, the tweak or maybe even being abolished, something called the high income benefit charge. So the child benefit that you get, the high BIC as we call it, this high income child benefit charge, it starts to kick in. If you earn over 50,000, you start paying child benefit back. And for a lot of families, it can be really quite a hit. I know there'll be lots of you watching this going, oh, woe is me, people on 50,000. But when you take into account tax and national insurance, it isn't vast sums of money more than somebody on, say, 30,000. And, you know, people plan their finances appropriately. So I think that that's quite tough. And what's worse is it creates a rate between 50 and 60k, where by the time you've got that, if you've got student loan repayments and other things in place, it can just feel like, what is the point of working? And I don't think any tax system should discourage people from working. So hopefully that might get a change. We don't know, we're just guessing at this stage, but a lot of people interested in what could happen then, and a lot of people really interested in and slightly concerned about change of government. You know, what if Labour get in? What might that look like for a small business owner? Because previously, I think we've felt over the years that Conservative governments were pro small business, the better choice maybe. I certainly think policy in the last 3 or 4 years has not proven that to be the case. So be interesting to see between the parties. I don't think anybody knows what to do these days. I'm sure there are some staunch supporters either way, but I think if you looked at it on balance as a small business owner, it's very difficult to pick your kind of lane at the moment. So more as that comes, I suppose, we'll be looking out to see what the tax policies are. It's not as clear cut as you'd hope at the minute, but that budget in March is going to be a big one, and of course we're going to be covering that on the channel. So there we are, short and sweet-ish. Went on a bit longer than I thought actually, but if you like these type of things, make sure to drop me a message below. It'll be interesting to see how these are met, and we'll continue to do them for a while anyway, because I think it's a good way to kind of just disseminate some news and some thoughts and some things we're seeing. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do share it with anybody you think needs to know this information, and I'll see you in the next one.